Here with tips on what to look for in that art is designer Micheal Lambie, who is finally back. We finally get him back.
So good to be back.
It is good to have you here. You know, why do people find it so challenging to pick out art?
You know, there's just so much options, and if you're not passionate about one particular thing, where do you go, right?
Right.
Like it could be overwhelming. So if you do know that I have this piece, or I love puppies, and you want to put puppies up, it's easy.
Yes.
But if not, then we got to use some extra tools or something a little different. I'm going to give you some tips on what to pull from to complete a space.
Beautiful.
So the art is not the space. So this is not the scenario where you want the art to be the focal point. It's if you want the art to support what you've done.
So I'm sure the designers listening to this are like, please don't put puppies up all over your house. But if that's your thing, they will find you the right ones. So you've broken it down into different things that we can look for, and we're going to start with movement.
Yes.
So how does that work when it comes to your art and your decor?
Right. So one of the goals of good design is to control the eye. We want you to look at certain things that we put effort into and maybe avoid things that are not so great.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So in an example like this, we had a condo that had beautiful views. It's a corner unit, overlooked the lake downtown.
Oh, beautiful.
So there's nothing we're going to do that competes against that. And of course, like many living spaces, you'll have that big TV and fireplace. And when they're off, they're kind of just black boxes. They're duds. So you don't really want to even actually accentuate that. So a scenario like this, what we did is instead of just having a stop, a point where you're actually looking at two, we want the eye to move. We want the eye to move across and keep moving the area. So we picked a piece of art that has black stripes that kind of mimic what's happening over there. And then now what we're doing is we're creating these bands of lines visually that say, hey, keep the eye moving, keep the eye moving. It's not about vertical, it's about horizontal pressure.
Sweep your eyes right across
That's
that
it.
space to where we want them to go.
Exactly.
Beautiful. And how does it work here in this picture?
So here's a scenario where on the left, behind the staircase, you actually go down to exit the house. And on the right, you can see that there's a dining room. So in the middle, you got this wall, like it's an awkward wall, which is an eye stop.
Right.
And we don't want your eyes to go there.
Okay.
So instead of making this your focal point, what we do is we're gonna place a piece of art that actually directs your eyes in different directions because they're dynamic. So I'm asking you to look this way, or I'm asking you to look this way. You're gonna land because there's some power in it, but the lines are pulling you left and right. So you're directing the eye to the areas that you want to go and not stay in the places that are not so attractive.
That is cool. I like that. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about movement. Let's talk about interpretation or theme, because that might be the thing that you're tying everything around. How is that working in this space?
Right, so in this particular bathroom, there's tile on the walls, and we have a theme already that's permanent. So we have these really cool graphic elements. There's circles, there's curves. It's even repeated in the light fixture. So we know what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Now, what's the picture that's going to be there? Well, it's not really about the art. Here, what we did is we have something organic. It's like a abstract piece of art, a flower, which has, again, those themes, little circles on it, curves, flavors, and even the colors you can see are pulling from the wall, right?
Nice.
So now it just fits.
Yes.
It's not saying scream it. It's not screaming look at me. It's like I complete the space. I'm interpreting the same elements in two different ways.
And it all looks intentional and it looks finished.
100%.
What's happening here?
Here we're interpreting a wall that has some cool lines on it, some dynamic areas. And if you don't have one particular piece, maybe you go to a bunch. So what we did is just a bunch of photographs, and we're going to mix them. Photographs with art, which is not a bad thing to do in collage wall. They don't have to be all one thing. But our theme here is obviously a lot of blacks and reds. So the art piece is black and red. So we got that relationship. We have a little bit of 3D happening with a black shelf. So now this collage, in the way we kind of composed, it makes an interesting shape. It kind of follows the lines of the architecture. It relates to it. And individually, one of these pictures wouldn't be enough for the wall, but as a collection, now it's something interesting as a collective.
And all of these probably represent the homeowner, right?
100%.
The person that's living there. All of those have a personal touch that means something to them, which is so cool.
Exactly. You're not committing to one thing.
Right.
Either.
Okay, next up, let's talk about the repetition of color and pattern and texture, because that can help a lot when you are trying to tie in some art to a space. What have we got here?
I love that. This is fun. So in this example, the rules of threes are being used with the light fixtures on the side, which is always powerful, right?
Yeah.
You have rules of threes. We kind of mimic that with how we're
like those lights. I like all the light fixtures you're showing us. They're so good.
Yeah, they make such a powerful statement, and we don't want to take away from that. We want to complement that. So in the art piece, you'll see that we're repeating that.
Right.
The rules of threes, right? So,
Yeah.
so now you start getting that repetition very subtly.
Yes, but it all makes sense together.
Makes sense. And then we have this real cool texture on the wallpaper. Well, that's a cool texture that's mimicked actually in this painting as well. So you get the
Nice.
relationship between the two. Again, it's just blending.
Yeah.
So everything feels cohesive.
And then this one.
This one. All right. So we have this awesome print on the
It's
pillows.
swirly.
Swirly, colorful, also on the custom drapes of this fabric. So just to really accentuate that, we use the same colors in the artwork, the same sort of swirly textures in the painting here.
Yeah.
Now it relates. It's not that we have to do the exact same thing there, but there's a relationship to it.
Yeah.
So again, this art is subtle in the background, but it completes the story.
A subtle theme that works all together. Michael, thank you so much for your advice.